Welcome to City Conversations, the City of Fayetteville's new TV show talking about what's important for City of Fayetteville residents. We thought it was most appropriate to begin today's first episode talking about baseball, which is coming to Fayetteville in 2019. And after the World Series win by the Houston Astros in October over the Dodgers and their first World Series win since 1962, we brought with us today David Lane, the general manager of the Buies Creek Astros. We also have with us Deputy City Manager Kristoff Bauer to talk a little bit about baseball and what's going on in our community. David and Kristoff, welcome, and thank you for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So why don't we start with, Kristoff, what baseball, or how baseball came to the City of Fayetteville? What started this process?
Well, really, there's two different ideas that came together to make this happen. One was that we were really trying to revitalize the downtown, starting with the Prince Charles Hotel, which we'll talk about in a different episode. But that was a problem for us, and there was an opportunity to develop the underdeveloped parking area behind it. So we were looking at trying to revitalize that area of downtown. At the same time, we were looking at what we could do to bring economic vitality to the community. And looking at what other communities had done, baseball has certainly been a part of revitalizing downtowns and bringing activity together. So we were looking at baseball, and we were looking at revitalizing downtown, and then that came together when the Astros came to us and said, we have an interest in coming to Carolina. So that's really what sort of brought this together, and then we started to, well, where do we want to put it? And we had a different site that we were looking at the time, but then working with the Prince Charles Holding Group and the Astros, we really thought we had a better opportunity to bring it to the downtown area.
And David, how'd that fit in with you all?
Great. We were leaving the California League. The Astros were leaving the California League, and we wanted to come to the Carolina League. And searching all over the footprint of the Carolina League, it made sense. Fayetteville wanted a team, the Astros wanted a city, and it worked out.
It sounds like timing was a very important part of that whole process here then.
Well, and it was really a challenge for us. We weren't ready. I mean, let's be clear. We weren't ready for the team, but they were ready to come to us. And so we really needed to take advantage of that opportunity. So they came to us and said, well, we want to come to Carolina, and so we sped up. And we've moved pretty quickly to make this happen.
So David, what's the most exciting part of this project for you right now?
The most exciting thing for me right now is building the stadium. On top of rebranding a team, coming up with a new name, new logo in a new city, top to bottom, building a business is the most exciting part about this. Working with good people, the City of Fayetteville, it's just been a pleasure to be here already, to see the excitement already. We're 24 months out when I got here. But just seeing everybody excited, and when is it going to happen? When can we get there? That's the most exciting thing for me. Every day it's somebody new asking about what's going on Hay Street.
Right, and you're actually downtown on Hay Street now, right?
Yes, 101 Hay Street, right there on the corner. Yes, sir.
And what about you, Kristoff? What's the exciting part for you with this?
Well, the big thing about local government is that lots of times you toil in the background. You're doing a lot of things that you try to make a difference for the community, but those things aren't real visible. But when you can actually impact the physical environment, see something come out of the ground, to actually make a difference that's going to survive for decades after maybe you're doing something else, and that's a unique career opportunity, and I've certainly found it very exciting.
Well, it's certainly an exciting time for us, and I don't think we've mentioned yet, but 2019 is when we start with the team here. I know they're already playing up in Buies Creek, yes. Buies Creek Astros up in Campbell University.
Yes.
So from a stadium perspective, before the stadium, Kristoff, let's talk a little bit about the baseball itself, the baseball team, and what that means. Tell me about how long you're going to be here for. Is this a one season and done? Are you going to be here longer than that? And how does that part work with the whole Class A team?
Right, so the Astros signed a 30-year lease with the City of Fayetteville, so we'll be here for 30 years beginning in 2019. We felt it was more important to go ahead and get established in Fayetteville, a footprint already. And that's why we're here, 24 months before the team actually gets here. We're at Campbell University, which is great. It's 40 minutes away. It's not bad, and not a bad drive. And we can already have a fan base going over there, but also, we haven't made a splash in Fayetteville yet. So this is very important that we start, solid. The other thing about having the Astros they own and operate this club, which is a stability thing that everybody needs to understand, that in most teams are looking for a new major league club every 2 years because of the player development contract, the PDC, and we don't have that here. We're owned and operated by the Astros. That means that it's going to be an Astros team the entirety of the lease, and so people can understand that we're focused on the business operations, but also on the player development side as well. So it's hand in hand, 1A, 1B. This is a high A club, which is only 2 steps from the big leagues. Above us is AA and AAA, and then the Houston Astros. You're going to see a lot of talent come through Fayetteville, not only from the Astros, but the other 9 teams that we play. That's another thing that people forget, that they're going to see big league players off of the other teams that come through. But more importantly, you're going to see future Astros come through, and you're going to get behind your team, and you'll be able to support those guys as they grow. And that, I think that's very exciting for people.
Oh, absolutely. And so to your point, I guess there is going to be some turnover there with the players. They can stay here 1 year, 2 years,
Always.
maybe not even
They
a full
might not be
season
here for
sometimes.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
But
So-
we want them to move up because we want that big league club to get better.
Right. And I think, too, back to the 30-year contract, that was something I know we went through from the city side that was a big concern, at least from a lot of the residents and people we talked to.
Well, it was, and it really is what facilitated us moving forward this quickly. Had we been in a situation where we didn't have a team that could make that kind of commitment, I think it would have been much harder for the council to make the decision to actually jump forward and say, we're going to build this thing within this very short time frame. So we moved, the council made a decision in July of the 16, and here we are. We're going to start construction in the next month. So we've moved very quickly through this process. The council's made a significant commitment to a significant public investment, but we've only been able to do that because of the commitment of the Astros to be our partner for the next 30 years.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the stadium itself. Can we see what the stadium looks like, and then talk a little bit about how that is going to fit into the downtown arena?
Yeah. Well, and a key part of this is, again, is this is not just a stadium. This is actually an economic development project that encompasses this entire area. We have the Prince Charles Hotel off to the right of the screen over there, which is currently in the process of being remodeled right now. There's another project that's kind of a square block there in this drawing that is going to be a significant economic development, another total of about $65 million of private investment around the stadium. And then we have the stadium itself. So it kind of sits back, which is a bit of a challenge for us, and we'll see that as we go through our little animation later, how you people come off of Hay Street, walk through a new public plaza that we're making, and into the stadium. And we've really focused on trying to make this stadium unique, and it is. It's kind of, the site drives a lot of uniqueness to us. We've got rail lines, railroad on 2 sides. We had to sort of fit this in this triangle. But we've been able to create a 360 concourse. You'll be able to walk all the way around it, which is a little bit unique in the minor leagues. Not everybody has that. We've really been working with the Astros to create unique locations as you walk around. Out in that left field area, we have a play space and a bathroom out there for our younger participants. And then we also have some berm seating, but we have some rail seating. We have a bar out in the right field area. So really a diversity of seating opportunities and fan experience in a tight spot.
And how many people did you say this is going to seat?
We think we'll be able to get a maximum about 5,000. There'll be about just over 4,000 fixed seats in the bowl area, with another 300 seats up in the club area as well.
Okay. And David, anything special about this design from your perspective as you've moved forward in this process?
Yeah, there's a lot of group areas. It's not just you buy a ticket and come to the game and watch the game. You're going to be able to interact with, your friends, your family members. There's concourse suites. There's the club level up top, the party deck. There's 4 tops, picnic tables, the berm, the park. The bar out in right field is going to be neat. It's very close to the action. A lot of things going on out there. You're seeing now the concourse there, but a lot of group activity, a lot of fun, friendly family events going on throughout the ballpark, not just baseball.
Sure.
And we're hoping this is going to be a very active space. One of the conversations we had very early with the Astros was about making sure that the stadium is actually available, open, when it's not in use.
Right.
So we wanted to make it more park-like, inviting. If you want to come during your lunchtime and do some laps around the concourse, you can certainly do that. And really an active community space. We think that most people don't want to come. Some people are very interested in baseball, and they certainly want to come in, sit in their seat, have their hot dog and just watch the game. Others may want to move around a little bit and experience different parts of the park. So we wanted to make sure there was a lot of dynamism to the design.
Well, I think that's a good point. I know what our consultant had told us, and I think, David, you had even spoken about this in Kristoff as well, that most people don't even stay to the conclusion of the game. When you come to a baseball game, it's really about that fan experience and what you get. And so really this park is going to bring that opportunity here, like a lot of other parks might not.
Right.
And we've taken a lot of time to make sure that happens. Seating is a big issue because, of course, as we sit here, and as you sit in a baseball stadium, you're sitting there for most of the time. You want people to be comfortable. We've got a video we'll show here in a second. In fact, if you could bring that up. Let's talk a little bit about that seating choice and what kinds of things we're going through to pick seats.
Well, this is an amazing story about one of the multiple decisions you have to make when you're building a stadium. This is not something that I ever had any experience with before that. We've got two major manufacturers of seating. We've got Irwin, and you're looking at the Irwin model now. And then the next one we're looking at is a Hussey seat. And to be honest, there's not a lot of difference between these seats, but there is some difference between the seats. And whatever seat we pick, we're going to be buying over 4,000 of them. So it becomes a critical decision when you're looking at both the performance of that asset in the stadium and also the cost impact to your budget as you move through the project. So we've had these in City Hall for a while. I love to run people over, sit down, what do you think? And there's a bit of a debate that we're going to, this is just one of many decisions we have to make. Each one of these has a padded version, which will go up as a sort of the more expensive club seat area. So we're basically just trying to figure out, it's kind of, do you want the slat back or do you not want the slat back? They won't be green or red. They'll be blue.
And then I guess another question off of the seating, and you mentioned the cost. Certainly there's a lot of money going into the seats themselves. Tell me about the cost of these tickets. Back from an economical perspective and within the Fayetteville area, is this a cost-effective form of entertainment for our residents?
Absolutely. Minor league baseball is always fan-friendly, family-friendly, affordable, fun. And so we'll keep it that way here in Fayetteville. We're running through pricing models right now. We have it pretty much set, very competitive within the Carolina League right now, and that's 2017 pricing. So you're looking 2 years from now, we're still very affordable right now. And so we feel comfortable where we are. We're not ready to announce those prices yet, but it'll be in the ballpark between $10 and $16 based on where you choose to pick a seat inside the ballpark.
And how many games will we have a season? What are we looking at?
70 home games.
70 home games,
Yes,
wow,
and
that's a
then the
lot.
playoffs, but yeah, 70 home games from April to September.
Okay. And when those games aren't going on, Kristoff, I think we talked a little bit about the multifunctional aspect of this stadium, but what do we do when those games aren't happening? What's the opportunities that exist from a city side?
Well, and of course, the city won't be taking advantage of a lot of that. We have a couple of days we'll be doing some of our sort of standard festivals that we have and growing those festivals into this facility. One of the challenges we've had, for example, with Dogwood and other festivals is that right now we can't control access. Our festival park is very open, and there's a good thing, but when you're trying to drive revenue through ticket sales or something like that, doesn't really work very well. So this gives us an opportunity with a new facility to actually have concerts or other festivals where we could control access, perhaps charge a small fee for people to participate. We have, I think, 12 days that the city would be responsible for programming. The rest of that, it's up to the Astros and finding people who want to use it, and they've, I think Dave's done a lot of work, taking a look at what's possible.
Yes. Outside of our season, we'll have other high school tournaments, college tournaments. We're going to go after those. I've made jokes of having monster truck rallies on the field. I know that will pain my groundskeeper. But, anything and everything, we're wide open, and we want to have it all. We want to bring as much entertainment to downtown Fayetteville as we can. And so, I'm not a fan of saying no to anything, but let's figure it out, make sure it makes sense for everybody. Wrestling tournaments. I even said, why not have a hockey game on the field? They do it in New York, so why not have it here? So we'll figure it out, but we'll have it. We'll be a year-round facility, whether it's football, soccer, baseball, monster truck rallies, hockey, whatever we can.
You want to get married on home plate, here's your opportunity.
Yep. We'll have an event space up top. The club level opens up onto the party deck, which becomes about a 4,000 square foot space, indoor, outdoor space. And so proms, military balls, anything that we can have and people want to have at the ballpark, we'll be open to it.
That's a fantastic opportunity. Yeah, you mentioned the groundskeeper. I know we're going to have real grass here, right?
Yes.
So that's definitely a challenge from that perspective. And do I understand correctly that we've got the opportunity for football and soccer as well with this? So that's also a
Yes.
potential to bring in there?
Sure is.
So different venues. Kristoff, from an economic perspective, what do you see in the future here? So 2019 is when this is going to open up. What do you think from an economic perspective we're going to see happen in the downtown area?
Well, the big difference, of course, is that, at a minimum, we'll have those 70 nights where we'll have, 2,000 to 5,000 people in our downtown area. And we've specifically designed this such that parking isn't right at the stadium. Some people say that's a mistake, and I think it's actually by design. You'll be parking a bit of a walk away, and you'll walk through our downtown to this facility. And we hope that you'll enjoy and see perhaps some of the shops that you didn't know were in the downtown. You'll visit some of the restaurants, maybe see an antique that you want to pick up. We're hoping that this will really help us revitalize our downtown. But in addition to this, as part of this project, again, we're also got two other projects which are going to increase the rooftops, the housing, the residents in our downtown. And that's the stable economic activity that can really support additional investment in our downtown as well. So between people coming to events and coming to ball games, people actually making downtown their home and their residence, we should see a significant amount of additional economic activity in the downtown.
Well, that's good to hear. Yeah, I know I was just talking with one of the merchants last night. We happened to go to the movies downtown, and I think my wife and I were the only ones in there. But I think that's going to change. And I know as we talk to those owners, the business owners there and around them, they're very excited for the opportunities this is going to bring to the community and to the economic side of things for the city. So really looking forward to that piece. David, from a player perspective, your players live and work in this area, so they're going to be around town.
Yes.
And live in this area too?
Yes, they will. These players it's up to them to find out where they want to live, but they normally room together and they'll get a 1-2 bedroom apartment and crash there. They're here to play baseball, so they'll play baseball from 2 o'clock until whenever the game's over with, then they go home and crash, eat, do whatever they want to do. But hopefully they'll live in the downtown area, maybe at the Prince Charles. Other host families, things of that nature around the ballpark. But they'll be adding, we'll have 27 guys plus the coaching staff from April to September that will be living here in this area. So we want fans to, get involved and make those players feel like family.
Sure. And then from that economic side as well, what other jobs might this opportunity bring to the area? You mentioned bringing more rooftops downtown, which is certainly a great thing. And you've got your players and your staff, but from a concessions perspective, from a maintenance perspective, are there a lot more jobs coming to the area for that as well?
Yeah, so we'll full-time, we'll have we think about 15 people full-time, so we'll be hiring those over the next 18, 24 months. And then once the games start, we'll need seasonal help, and that'll be game day staff, ushers, ticket takers, ticket sellers. We think about 75 people that we'll hire on a seasonal basis. And then you've got the concessions, and that's probably about another 75 people that will be selling hot dogs and hamburgers and beer and everything else throughout the ballpark. So from April to September, we'll be creating about 150 jobs, not to mention the other events that will be going on throughout the year.
Well, it's very exciting.
Yeah.
And so back to the money side of things, Kristoff, because this question came up a lot, and I continue to see this on our Facebook page and other places. How much is this costing the taxpayers?
Well, of course, a lot of this is being funded by, a significant portion, of course, is coming from the lease from the Astros. So that's the largest source of additional income. But the other parts of this is actually coming from economic growth. So what we're doing is, this is a partnership. We're not out there building just a stadium. We're building a stadium, we're facilitating the renovation of the Prince Charles Hotel, we're partnering with a new parking deck and additional housing and another hotel development on the site. So as part of that, we're actually going to, again, get that $65 million of private investment in this area. And we're looking at the tax increment, the increased taxes from that private investment to help us pay for the rest of the project. Is there no tax impact? I think that would be unrealistic to say. But the vast majority of the cost of this $33 million project is being borne by the economic activity that it's generating and by the Astros themselves as the operating unit. The other piece that's sort of not really it's hard to quantify, and you can't really estimate that, is that as this other activity happens in the downtown, and we start to see increased investment, and we're already seeing that happen. People are seeing this, and so they're looking at acquiring additional property, reinvesting in properties in the downtown. We'll see property values get enhanced in the downtown area, and that additional tax revenue will offset the burden on existing taxpayers.
Well, that's good to hear, and that's, again, I think an important thing for our taxpayers to know is that really the funding for this comes from a lot of other places.
Yeah, I think we get a lot of questions about operational costs, and the Astros have signed up for that. You know, we're building this facility, and we're handing it over to them, and it's their responsibility to take some of the revenue that they generate from that and pay for the operating costs on an annual basis. We partner using some of that surcharge on some of the ticket sales to actually put away some capital funds. So if there's a capital investment that's needed 10 years out, that's pre-funded through a savings account that we create and fund together. So we've really planned this very well to make sure that we have a sustainable relationship that is funded for the long term.
Well, that's good. Sounds like a very well-planned operation, and I can't wait for the city and the Astros to break or to ribbon cut this facility in 2019. David or Kristoff, anything else you'd like to share that we haven't talked about today before we close?
Well, I think the only other thing I'd mention is that we've talked about the stadium. We've also got this plaza area that's going to happen in front of the stadium, and we're really focused on making that pretty cool too. We've got the Prince Charles, and I know we've got another segment coming up on that, but there's some new multi-use retail space on the bottom of that. We've got the new parking deck, which is going to have some retail space on that. So we're really going to bracket this facility with some additional economic activity. And we've got a fountain coming out of the middle of this. It's a fountain, but it'll be ground level. So it'll be, people want to get wet. Sometimes they'll be able to do that if they choose to. So we're really going to have a place that becomes a new gathering spot for the community as well as the stadium. So I've said this a couple times, I've been notorious in the paper that it's going to be a bit of a mess for the next 2 years, and that's going to be fun to get through, but I'm really looking forward to that opening day and seeing how this really changes the whole atmosphere in the downtown.
Well, thank you. David, anything from your side?
The Astros are excited, so just hold on. We'll be ready for 2019, and everybody will come out and have a good time. No matter what the name is, they'll have a blast at the stadium.
Well, so you bring up a great point as our closing shot. What about the name?
We're ready. We've narrowed it down to two, as everybody knows in the paper. It's either the Fatbacks or the Woodpeckers. We have our chosen winner. We're just waiting, on some color issues, making sure the uniforms work, and we want to have a big party downtown somewhere and unveil this name, but also have merchandise, our uniforms, hats. We want everybody to go home in a t-shirt and a hat and whatever else their kids might want that night. And so we don't want to just roll out our name. We want to have everything ready. Sure. Well, and so that's where we are. We're not sure when that's going to be yet. That little bump, in October with the World Series, it kind of set us back a week, but we'll take that.
Well, that's a good reason.
Yes.
That's okay. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here with us today. From the city side, if you go to FayetteVilleNC.gov/baseball, we'll continue to provide updates there about the stadium build-out and how all those things are going along. And David, do you have a website you'd like to share with?
Right now, it's FayettevilleAstros.com or Buies Creek Astros.com. We don't have the new website yet.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for being here, and thank you for joining us today on the first edition of City Conversations.